in the first split of the season. He's done a great job of being able to adapt his notable and signature melee and assassin play into being able to pick up those control mages, and he's done a great job so far. And one of the things that you mentioned, Rude, is that Kanavi and Creme need to continue finding these champion duo combos that work well together. Nocturne Oriana is one of the first ones that popped in my mind.
Okay. And we'll have to see whether or not one of those gets banned away. Typically, it's Nocturne that you take away, and then that sort of alleviates the duo. IG banning Renekton here suggests they want an Ambassador. TheShy had an incredible Ambassador game in the last series that they got to play, so wouldn't be surprised to see that taken as first pick here. Again, is a champion that we very infrequently see get let through multiple games of these fearless drafts. Top, though, back on red side now with that Rise ban. Could be looking for a bit more again of that slippery
Good
style
shot,
champion. Just getting rid of the Rune Prison. Thank you.
Yeah, you called it, man. I mean, the fact that there's no answer to the Abessa that would have been much more difficult in either the Cassante or the Renekton, they go for that first pick. And now Top Esports, they've got, you know, access to a couple more champions that maybe not necessarily as threatening as the Ambessa in terms of just overall mobility and disruption to the backline. But, I mean, Jace has been such a signature staple, especially on that tank build. Shout out to Flandra, who has now caused the terror of all of our games with, you know, full damage Jace going to the wayside, and now it's either at least Bruiser Jace or Tank Jace, where this guy still puts out a decent amount of damage over an extended period of time, and he's just too damn tanky to deal with.
Yeah, I think fortunately we've turned into more Bruiser-style Jaces in recent patches, but that is a Nidalee locked in for at least the second series I've been commentating in the playoffs. It's another Nidalee game.
Boy.
Plenty of mages here to match the pace of a Nidalee. So Zyra's still open, which you know typically notable go-to. Lilia's also up there, but maybe just wants some hard CC. Lilia's the one that gets taken for Jiejie, so we're going to be looking to match pace for pace. And again, so far this time round, it's a lot of these hands check style champions. We're looking at Meiko, we're looking at Crisp to be those facilitators this game. The Varus gets locked in for Gala, as I was hoping for a little earlier on. But for top specifically, you mentioned that they struggled when it's Crisp being those engagers. Locking in Nidalee Kanavi means that it has to be Crisp.
Yep. Well, they could try and lock down something like the Nautilus or the Leona for Crisp that guarantees that point and click stun so that the spears can land with no fault whatsoever, unless Kanavi misses it. But Kanavi is a notable Nidalee player like Shun and Canyon across the world, so I have no doubts that this guy can pull off the Cougar Queen herself as we head into the second round of bans. Poppy, a nice champion to ban away, as even though more than likely this Ambessa is going over to TheShy, they could flex it around, get a little crazy, send the Ambessa mid lane, give Poppy over to the top lane, or even support for Meiko. And it's just a good tool to try and deny any of the champions that want to dive forward to have mobility. Steadfast Presence puts a stop to that.
Yeah, Corki a must ban here for IG. Already Top have picked themselves up a very decent poke composition with Jace and Nidalee on their own. Taking the Corki out of that equation as well fits your brief quite nicely. It's also nice that they've taken the Varus away by extension, because that removes the idea of poke Varus as well.
Yeah.
Now for IG, right, you're looking at what other AD carries they might want to try and target. It is those targeted range. Maybe Kai'Sa gets taken off the board if they're really scared of some potential all-in with Kai'Sa Leona as well. Top Esports, though, taking out those supports, taking out Nautilus, taking out Poppy, is a little bit of that disengage and one of those answers also to the Leona in lane.
And they took away the misfortune, so if they want a strong laner for JackeyLove, Jhin is the best answer. And even though Jhin doesn't offer nearly the same amount of poke that a Varus does, he offers utility and setup, and all at the benefit of being long range, so that he can safely throw out deadly flourishes, open up with a curtain call, and the rest of his team can force the fight on their own terms.
We've seen JackeyLove play Jhin before, and we've seen JackeyLove play Jhin against IG before. Again, these two teams played against each other in Demacia Cup. The winning game had JackeyLove on Jhin, where he curves a fourth bullet around 2 different people and snipes Rookie out to take them to that game victory. IG, though, they respond. They've gone for the Braum, a notable answer to the Leona, and also going to be very solid for trying to block some of this poke coming through into that mid game. Again, my concern for IG, similar to what I had from game number 1, is that they've now also drafted themselves this relatively poke-oriented composition. I like the Azir to be paired with the Varus because it means they can double down on the poke. It allows for now poke Varus to come through. Lilia bowling balls might not seem like it, but they are also an incredibly obnoxious form of poke as well. So that gives the chance now for IG to play this long range style. And I think for both of these teams, they are looking to play with those ranges, and top and supports for both teams feel maybe not a lot of out of place for top esports, but especially for IG, who's diving with TheShy this game. Ambessa is going to go public execute somebody, and then the rest of the team are just going to be POV watching, seeing if they can get anything, you know, to try and help out with. But it's going to be a real struggle for TheShy this game, I'm worried for.
Yeah, I didn't mention it before when Jiejie locked in Lilia, but if you lock in a Lilia that early, then the other enemy composition wants to draft immediately long-range damage. Champions that can space themselves, because Lilia thrives when it's a bunch of melee champions that she can easily proc her abilities and continue sustaining herself while, you know, dealing percentage HP damage across throughout the extended team fight. This is not going to be one of those cases. This is going to be a Lilia that might be forced to just, you know, send herself in with a Q flash ult engage and just pray that the rest of her team in IG can follow up and finish off the rest of the top esports here. Because the rest of top esports, as you called out, I mean, there's so much ways that you can control the fight and prevent the rest of IG, or at least make them struggle, try and get those entrances in.
And again, an elimination series for these 2 teams going into game number 2 now, where we've got honestly relatively similar compositions of a lot of poke, a lot of range on either side. Could very well come down to execution. And when you've just lost game number 1, again, this IG organization completely changing the script for 2025, splashing out on a super roster that was expected to make waves, not just in the Demacia Cup, but in the LPL as well, have fallen at the first hurdle of the Demacia Cup, have now fallen as well a little bit in the group stage, where they found themselves as a lower bracket team. Now they're going to have to try and claw their way back from a series against top esports, a situation that they were unsuccessful in previous times, or risk failing, and risk going out very early.
For IG, the second game, starting off not necessarily on the best foot here, as Meiko is going to get his recall canceled by a good spear from Kanavi. Top esports managing to bully their way into the red quadrant of IG's own jungle. I'm curious to see how Kanavi wants to start this out. They've already put down some defensive wards on their own red quadrant, suspecting that IG, obviously, they don't want to see the full quadrant jungle for free. They want to be able to get a quadrant back on their own terms as well, but they're going to have full vision of it, whereas IG, they have little information of where Kanavi is going to path after these camps.
Yeah, and at least now they know that Kanavi is starting on the bot side. I mean, they probably suspected this anyway, as once again we get to see this 2v2 in the mid lane. This is the same sort of vibe that we got from game number 1, where we've split the map. This time round, though, it's just a little bit different with where the junglers are starting. Both of them now starting on this invade. And I think that for top esports, them being able to at least play this lane out as best as they, you know, well, I say as best as they can, as best as Kanavi allows them by throwing some spears over the wall. If they can get just the same sort of game off that they had in game number 1, Kanavi is just sitting in this Raptor brush. I mean, this 2v2 as well is double range.
Yeah, and Creme and 369 able to hit level 2. I mean, normally we talk about level 2 power spikes for bot lane duos, but the fact that we're in a world where we see mid lane and top lane duos battling out in the mid lane and already just using that advantage. Now, TheShy is going to try to advance forward, but immediately 369 sends down the hammer, and TheShy thinks otherwise before he wants to continue fighting that one.
I think this is now a good timer for IG to try and remove this sort of 2 versus 2. Getting that little trade back onto Creme is actually really beneficial, keeps Rookie at least even enough in HP. We're saying that Creme rather, has got those biscuits in his inventory, so going to have a little bit more sustain there than Rookie.
One thing I will say about the Nidalee Lilia matchup is that it's nice as the Nidalee to try and disrupt the Lilia's early farm rotation because she does have a fairly fast clear speed despite not being as strong as a skirmisher Nidalee is. And if you don't really do anything as a Nidalee within the first 10-15 minutes while you're ramping up to that first item spike and you don't get a huge advantage off of it, then the Lilia takes over. The Lilia becomes a much more threatening team fight presence. Now, that being said, we already talked about draft-wise, that's going to be really difficult going into the composition that Top Esports have drafted now. There's a teleport, and I believe it's 369 trying to pick up the wave. The flash from Meiko tries to guarantee the auto attack for the concussive blows, but these turret shots are ramping up fast, but not fast enough. That's first blood for IG.
Okay, and I mean, maybe just expecting that Crisp would be there a little bit sooner and wasn't, as now Jiejie finds himself mid lane. Kanavi's ready to respond, and actually Crisp is here.
Oh no, Jiejie! I thought Creme was in trouble, but Kanavi was off screen and Crisp was there for the rotation, and he even takes a spear to the face as he tries to flash away.
So flash burned from the Lilia, not the biggest deal, but upon level 6 is going to certainly mean that we remove some of the playmaking capabilities. And now for TheShy, a very solid advantage. Might not have been able to pick up the kill, but has a wave that's about to bounce back into him. He's already ahead in experience. Should be able to control how this lane ends up going. And with the bot laners now returning to that bot side, the split map has been called off. Could very well cost Kanavi or a couple of his camps as he in fact is deciding to go for an invade himself.
Oh, but they're going to turn on to Meiko, and they know that he doesn't have flash from before since he made that dive happen, and JackeyLove steps up to make it happen. Jiejie also in trouble. Remember, this Lilia also doesn't have flash, but they try to look for the CC, but Kanavi didn't quite have a spear available. Creme rotates in, gets some chip damage, but no threat to the rest of IG.
Yeah, quickly done, and you know, Top Esports, they'd played on this bot side the whole time. They've got that laying down vision. They've got the cursory information on where they can and cannot step. And IG didn't have prior down on that bot side. It's JackeyLove and Crisp able to move in first, finish off that kill, pick up a quick little pickup. Granted, it's only onto Meiko, but worth saying that gold in JackeyLove's pocket is always gold well spent. And picks up the Swifty boots, so be able to keep himself nice and safe now versus this Varus Braum lane that, as we've ticked over to level 4 now for both of them, might have a little bit of a say in the 2 versus 2.
And they currently have prio, at least on the bot side of the map, to start up this dragon, and it's well before grubs spawning in the next 30 seconds, so they'll have time to at least get a chance to reset or maybe walk on over. But as I say that, JackeyLove and Crisp are spawning on vision. They're going to spot that the dragon is being started up, but there is a smite to secure it. Now the question is, do Top Esports want to try and pick off a member, but they just can't get there in time?
So fortunately nothing that they could do as Top Esports there to stop the Drake from going down. And as well for Top Esports, right, this is still an elimination game for them as well. As much as, you know, I have them down as favourites to take this series, and game number 1 sort of adds to that as well. They're an organisation that want greater success this year, and that doesn't start from in a lower bracket. First of all, it's a failing on their part to have lost out on that position to begin with. But getting through Swiss stage, yeah, but then they immediately get 0-3'd out in the quarterfinals of Worlds. This is their first chance to get back into the limelight, and if they, you know, can turn themselves back to going up to first start, finding a bit of a success in the LPL in 2025, split 1 to begin with, is how they right those wrongs. But they also have to correct their narrative. Both of these teams, one of which will go home, have got a lot to be correcting from last year and from the start of this year as well.
Yeah, and whether the correcting comes through successful matches and series throughout the lower bracket, or if it comes in when they return in the second split, you know, only time will tell. As Top Esports, maybe Creme is in a little trouble. He has flash, and so we'll definitely use it to get over the wall. Safe for now. No other tools that IG can use to try and punish while he's checking the river, but IG are able to net themselves a crab here. And I want to go back to kind of the expectations that you were setting up, Rude, for both of these teams. I mean, we have to remember that both of these rosters were set up kind of as not necessarily, you know, big roster shuffles, but IG, and you already pointed out that this is the first time that they went for a super team formula. They had mostly been known for being super developmental and trying to bring up players through their own LDL teams before trying to give them a chance to play on the main stage. They said, nope, we're bringing back Rookie in TheShy. We're going to pull in Jiejie and then see if Meiko and Gala can work out together. And so far, obviously, we've seen the inconsistencies and where the ceiling could be, but obviously they have so much to climb. Whereas for Top Esports, not quite the same story, as Top Esports has been fielding formidable rosters for years now, but it's just a shuffle of, you know, one superstar jungler in TN going over to Kanavi, who made such a legacy for himself on JDG, but not able to find, you know, a world championship, which he was so close to with JDG in 2023.
Yeah, I mean, that was the roster that should have golden roaded and wasn't quite able to make it happen, right? And Kanavi as well, especially for this player in particular, making the move to top esports and seeing his team do so well, right? Tian, or rather with JDG as well, just playing out of their minds recently. You know, yes, they came out as having shaked their way through the group stage. They still were top seed. They've still won their upper bracket match. And, you know, that JDG roster now without Kanavi is thriving. And that's a real point of Kanavi's contention where you'd like to think, well, actually, he's kind of got to step up as well and prove that he's the one who should be coming out better of these trades. And I think that on the flip side as well, there was so much talk for Jiejie about being stuck in EDG jail for the last couple of years, where he was just this player that was by far and away the best player, was stuck with pieces that he could never have expected to win with. Well, this split, he's been given 2 former world champions, and if that again isn't enough, if that failing still comes through, the questions start to have to turn to, well, is it just a piece of, you know, is Jiejie the problem, or is it that actually these pieces of former world champions aren't good enough?
Yeah, I mean, he's even reunited with his support that he won a world championship with in 2021 on EDG. So, you know, if this formula isn't good enough, then what else is going to make it work for IG? Now, obviously, this series is only 1 game in. Still plenty of time for IG to, at least for their fans, hopefully get it right or figure it out well enough that they can triumph over top esports despite the 1 game deficit that they are experiencing.
Dialing back in then to this second game, the grub spawning on that top side in about 15 seconds. We can already see some decent moves from supports up to that top side. Worth noting that Crisp is here first, so that cursory vision will be favoured for top esports to begin with. But Drake spawns in 20 seconds as well. Opportunity for a trade on both sides if they'd like. 3 grubs already the way of top esports. First dragon already the way of IG. So we'll get to see where our teams value their priority, what they're looking at. And again, to remind people, the expectations for this game is that if we get into these 5 versus 5s, we're going to be seeing a lot of poke. Both of these compositions have a magnificent amount of range, and then that sort of piece that's outlying from that really feels like TheShy. I think that IG probably going to struggle a little more as we get to 5v5s if they don't have a little bit of a lead. That Ambessa dives forward, doesn't have the support of the rest of the team.
Well, first grub, Jiejie is able to secure from themselves, so they at least deny the 6 grub nightmare scenario, but Chris fancies himself an engage onto Meiko. Jiejie tags him, and Chris was now forced to escape. Rookie looks for JackeyLove. Hey, had flash, but he didn't use it. He had both summoner spells, but he still goes down. Top esports, now without their 80 carry, can't really challenge unless Creme can equalize it, but the Spiraling Despair doesn't finish off Meiko. TheShy is cut off from being able to collapse with the rest of his team, but he's still safe enough to walk away from the fight.
So a big win for IG here on this top side. Going to be 3 grubs picked up for them, and they can maybe even look to recall. It's a 50-50 for who can make their way to the Drake sooner. Everybody backing on this top side, and nobody particularly has the vision to say that they can start it up in their own right. And, you know, this goes both ways. Yes, if TheShy goes forward, he's going to be isolated. It's the same to be said for Crisp. He jumps in, nobody else can really follow up, and you quite rightly highlight JackeyLove here has flash, has cleanse, but as soon as he gets scooped, burning either one of them is pointless, and, you know, wise of him to hold on to it in that case, but should have been flashing that wall if he wants to keep himself alive. Maybe just saying that he can give the 3 grubs, but values his summoner spell for a little bit later on, or, and what's maybe more likely is just misplaying.
It's definitely not the first time that we've seen it from JackeyLove this split so far. I mean, we talked about this guy, world champion with IG back in 2018, and it still has been one of the best 80 carries we've had in the LPL for many, many years. That being said, the group stage play that JackeyLove has put on has not been super shining of the ceiling that we have seen from this guy over his career. And so if you're a JackeyLove fan and a top esports fan altogether, you really want this guy to lock in, you know?
And already, right, that highlight of IG Game 1 that we had pointed out, Gala is 2-0 on the Varus. The gold is in the right place for this Invictus Gaming squad, who in fairness, he has opted to go into the on-hit this game, so Blade of the Rune King, Rageblade expected to be the next item as Kanavi and Jiejie butt heads down on this bot side. Looking to try and take first brick down in this bot lane. The second dragon of the game did go to top.
Esports gotta be a little careful. This turret hasn't been taken quite yet. They're just doing what they can to bully off IG from defending it, and with the last bit of the proc there of these plates, Top Esports will net themselves first tower of the game, while Rookie is collecting plates for himself on the top side of the map.
Full resets coming through on that bot side now for top. Herald's going to spawn in the next couple of minutes, so again, transitioning their coverage over to that top side. Would like to try and take that down, looking at feats of strength. First brick taken by top, but we're still up for the feat of warfare, still up for those feat of objectives as well. So whichever team gets that Herald secures the objective one, and one more kill for IG will find warfare. As top beelining it out to the top side with these chem plants, they're able to find so much move speed as well. Not able to defend the tier 1 turret on this top side, but you can see already just every team, or both of these teams I should say, know where the play is going to be made.
And for Top Esports, on the bottom side, I think it was a little bit lucky for them that they did not allow Jiejie to get in range to force an engage, where Jiejie was one of the few people on the map that had a first item spike alongside Gala, and Top Esports were still scrambling for the last bit of gold to finish off their components. But now Top Esports, Black Cleaver, Leandries, Seraphs, and Collector all fully completed for all 4 of their damage dealers here. Top Esports definitely feeling a little bit better about taking a fight at this point in the game.
Small advantages for Rookie and Gala, but they're not amounting to, you know, those big overall item leads. Worth saying that I do think that finishing off the Archangels gives him a little bit of a weaker one item spike than we see for Rookie, who's already finished off the Leandries. Combat power certainly, I think, favoured to IG for the time being. And that probably doesn't lead into anything other than a fight around the Rift Herald, and maybe we get to see a bit of a trade down on that bot side if you know, IG or top think that they're not particularly in a position to try to take that fight. But again, right, if this is a game that IG find themselves losing out on, they're now staring down a match point and going 2-0 down again for the second time this year against Top Esports, or at least the second time with this roster. May have been the back end of 2024, but even still, it's a worrying trend that they weren't able to find a single game in their Demacia Cup rematch, that so far they haven't been able to push the envelope in this series, and in this game especially. They've had this small advantage of having Gala this gold, but haven't been able to do too much with it. I think this Herald spawning in 5 seconds time is going to be that big indicator. Is that where IG look to find the fight, look to leverage this advantage that they have, and really unleash Gala?
Yeah, well, Gala, thankfully for him, is relatively safe with both Flash and Cleanse available. The only really ranged engage is that crisp Leona ultimate, as they're now hunting Meiko. And he's got a shield, so he's able to deflect and absorb a lot of that poke damage. But Top Esports doing a good job of bullying out IG away from the river as they look for the Herald.
Summon a heal used in exchange for the solar flare from Crisp. So that ranged engage for Crisp now not available. Will have to sacrifice his body if he wants to get in. TP from TheShy is far, but it's bullied Top Esports away here. IG have wrestled back control over the river, and not without control of the mid lane. IG now the ones to start this up, but Top won't give this for free.
5k still on the Rift Herald. Top Esports got to be careful about TheShy looming over. There's a control ward that has full vision of this Mbessa trying to make that flank happen. And it's enough that Top Esports are not going to even try for the Rift Herald contest. IG are able to secure it for themselves.
It's great angles from IG, even though they don't actually find a fight. TheShy comes in from one side. Gala's just threatening with that little bit of poke from the other as well, down on the bottom side of that ramp. And Top Esports know that if they go too far forward, they're just going to get collapsed. They don't have enough of a front line or enough engage to withstand that level of a collapse coming through. And IG find themselves that Rift Herald now, so the combat for the objectives going their way is going to be the feat of warfare, weirdly enough, that decides who ends up getting those feats of strength. As Rookie now starting to feel a little bit more confident, stepping up to Creme.
Yeah, Creme was trying to teleport to the bottom side of the map since IG had burned a teleport of their own to make the Rift Herald play. Creme was trying to set up priority to get prio for this upcoming dragon that just spawned, and the rest of IG were ready to collapse onto Creme. So that forced 369's own teleport just to make sure that his mid laner was not left out to dry, because Chris was not going to be enough to defend his mid laner from getting absolutely punked on.
Yeah, and I do think there is an element right now of IG just recognizing that they've got slightly better items, and Top Esports maybe recognizing the same Herald down in the mid lane, not just to force Prio in here, but also to put a decent chunk down onto that tier 1 turret. Drake is the overall goal for both of these two teams, and now it's bot lane Prio for Top Esports, so that better angle now generated for 369 on this Jace with the grasp, so not as much poke, but he's given that up to try and join and reconnect with his squad, and IG, once again, with just enough control and enough bargaining chips in the early game to find themselves at least purchase on this second objective.
It's pretty difficult for Top Esports to wrestle their way into the river as they look for the engage. Crisp and JackeyLove immediately flash away. Solar Flare looks for Rookie. He flashes out as well. A lot of summoner spells already burned off of multiple ultimates being expended. There's the fear onto Jiejie, and now they pounce.
Oh, he's
gone. Good night, Bambi. That's the Cougar sinking their fangs into the deer. And now Top Esports looking for the collapse.
Another one.
More onto IG. They're being able to hold it back now, but Meiko could be in trouble using the stand behind me to jump to the safety of IG. But Top Esports, even though they don't get any much more off of IG members, they now have control of the dragon.
Yeah, so again, feat of warfare, still the thing that's up in the air, 2-2 for both of these two teams. The objective going to go the way of Top Esports. They'll find themselves that second dragon, and it's off the back, really, of one quick pick. And it's off the back of Creme once again. This all starts because he finds a fear. Yes, there's this, element of engage for both of these two teams before. I love that Rookie holds the shuffle, expecting JackeyLove to flash that PTSD of the fight around the Herald from the second grub spawn. But Creme lands a fear, which syncs up with a fear into a deadly flourish. And we get to see the range of this composition. One part of CC lands, the rest of Top Esports collapse immediately.
You see the break out of the fight. Top Esports were definitely looking to bite off a little bit more, but it's so hard to fight your way through a Braum once the shield is up, and he causes a lot of disruption with the Glacial Fissure as well. So good on IG to not bleed even more after the open wound that Jiejie being caught out caused for the rest of that team. But Top Esports managing to pick up the third dragon of the game puts them 2 away from Soul Point. And this is, once again, Rude, I don't know how we managed to get this, but another Chemtech Soul for ourselves in this series.
Yeah, so, again, not the most highly sought-after Soul, but certainly one that teams will be looking to fight for all the same. I think that the reduction of damage as you get below a certain threshold was certainly something that was looked at for in the past, so maybe we'll get to see some of that hangover into this Soul as well. For the most part, though, we return to this almost stale mid game where we're seeing these two teams just jockey for position, and the tension in this game really beginning to build that one of these team fights could really swing the pendulum one way or the other, and neither side has really taken firm control. And I think that it's really important that the IG take this game in particular. I mean, there's an element of, oh well, you want to take every game, make it 3-0, wouldn't adore you, but I think going down 0-2 just really struggle as far as that goes, and the mental pressure that puts on you to be able to perform 3 games in a row up against a team that you've already fell against so far, and the idea that Top Esports would just 3-0 their way through this will be playing in their minds and continue to sweep them.
It definitely feels like this game has been building up a lot of tinder and just waiting for the right catalyst to catch fire and really blow this game wide open, because there's been gold bounties that have been building up for both Gala and Kanavi respectively, and IG might try and just bust this open if they try and pull Top Esports into a disadvantageous scenario, funneling in through that corridor on this Otacon.
Now is the time for the poke to happen, right? Creme, JackeyLove, Kanavi, 369, they've all got tools to poke people out. IG has stood standing on an objective. Fortunately, it's in the lane. They've got a lot of space to work with. IG have started this, but they're going to be tanking. They're going to be reducing resists, and Top should look for a fight.
Less than 4,000. TheShy is spotted. 369 immediately marks him. Oh, good on Rookie. Finds JackeyLove, but no one can really follow up. The Glacial Fissure finds the knockup, but he cleanses the slow, and the rest of Top Esports, they just barrel on forward, praying that it's enough to win them the fight. JackeyLove falls, but Kanavi sinks his fangs, but the Otacon was secured by IG, so it's just GAs being popped here. Fake deaths for the side of IG, and they're going to look to see how many more kills they can get. TheShy is not able to find anymore, and Top Esports, they didn't get the Otacon, but it definitely feels more of a big win for Top Esports.
Yeah, it's a bad sign for IG. They were able to find 2 kills off the back of that, which is their saving grace, and they don't technically give over any kills, but that's still 1,000 gold that Top picked up in those fake death kills. Remember, they give 200 gold now as opposed to the 100. A little bit of missed synergy here. Rookie shuffles one way. Gala not able to follow up with the chain of corruption. And yes, he goes golden in the back here, but Rookie doesn't have anything left in the tank. Just starts walking forward as soon as he comes out of stasis, while the rest of his team are getting absolutely torn to pieces. And again, Gala doing what he can in these team fights, but he's been pounced on and collapsed. His front line left him for dead, and there was nothing left for this IG side. Top come away with a big fight win, and whilst they don't have the objective, they'll be able to find themselves at least an element of hope that they are in the advantage now with that fight win going their way.
Yeah, it really seems like the Otacon just deflated what could have been game-breaking for Top Esports, but it's still not a great state to be in because it's still an even one, and IG were really hoping that off of the secure of that objective, it could have given them the key, the leverage to really just snowball this game wide open, because we talked about before, hang on, 369 should be fine. Doesn't have flash though. If Rookie wants to send it for the shuffle, yes he will. TheShy connects as well, and 369 doesn't have enough movement speed, but he's got the heal from Kanavi to bail him out. I mean, this guy's super tanky, and thanks to Nidalee, she's pretty much a support at this stage of the game. If he can't lay in the spears, but you know, God bless Rito for giving Nidalee
We've got to heal.
Support heal buffs, baby. And now Top Esports are in a better spot to be able to contend for this dragon, since 369 still has a teleport.
So if this is secured, it's Soul Point for Top. Teleport from 369 going to be used to get back into this fight. And again, we look to the poke, we look to the range advantage that Top Esports have in this game, where they can use Quay Poke, they can use spears over the wall, and they can use the flourishes, the poke from the Jace as well.
Woo! Good flash by Creme, dodges the public execution. That's one less ultimate that IG have. It would really be down to Gala to find a chain of corruptions onto a key target. But meanwhile, this entire time, 369 had the mid-wave pushed in and says, I mean, if they're going to fret about whether they want to step up for the dragon or not, I'm just going to take their towers.
No, and now they've escorted 369 out of mid lane by, shepherding IG the long way through their jungle. Top playing that little sequence much, much better. And IG, again, they don't have the same ability to contest at range. And their engage is solely TheShy. He went for a fight there, tried to find Creme, but he found his flash, was able to get out to safety. And from there, there's nothing really that IG can do. Again, it's another game where this draft, it's a lot more difficult to try and execute on. Maybe if they'd have had, a poke virus in here, they can look to contest that poke. But on hit, you're really looking to save your spells as resets, blight procs, and to really find the damage through that means as well. Now going to certainly struggle. I like the idea that he's building toward this Bloodthirster as a third item. He's going to need it versus all the poke that's coming through. But that then creates this situation where your Varus is the one who has to stand up and be the front line, because he's the only one who can actually take the poke. TheShy doesn't really want to absorb it, nor does Jiejie or Rookie. And Meiko, level 9 on this Braum, he's going to get ripped to shreds if he tanks more than 2 spears.
He can only press lock it once, and after that, he's got no other tools to really deflect projectiles and bursts once the shield is down. And so for the rest of Top Esports, they find themselves just sliding further and further into that advantage state. The gold lead is not really the story. It's just this. Oh, I like this though. IG, they're getting ready to ball.
Spotted.
Top Esports know that the Baron has been started up. Kanavi, no flash. 3,000 HP, Kanavi, 1 spear, it is
Can they get out?
And Crisp is in there, but Creme has a great angle on this top lift flank. Meiko is the first one that falls to JackeyLove, but the rest of IG, if they can survive, this is a great Baron secure, but the curtain call and the searing bolts are trying to find their targets and their mark. One last curtain call bullet hits Rookie in the face. He's forced to flash. Gala can't escape. The deadly flourish snipe from over the top. JackeyLove, the sniper for Top Esports.
And IG with their tournament series on the line here, finding a way to keep this game as even as possible. A rush of the Baron that nets them this objective, and getting out with 3 people, and importantly, your 2 side laners, but more can be found.
It's still going. Chris sends it once again. TheShy still has a public execution if he wants to look for a re-engage, but he's not going to chance it because he's taken too much damage, all from the back of Top Esports carries.
So I love this for IG. Yes, they lose out on Gala and they lose out on Meiko, and granted double summoners for the virus being lost feels pretty rough as well. But I would love to see now a 1-3-1 setup for IG. Keep Meiko or keep Jiejie in the mid lane, as there was a teleport down to this bot side by Rookie. He wants this tier 1 turret. They've got a chance now with this Baron to really put a dent in that gold lead.
Gonna try to take as many structures as they can with this push. There's no teleport from... I lied. 369 and Creme have teleports if they want to answer on the bottom side of the map, but they're just going to take the long walk as 369 answers towards the top side of the map. Going to get a chance to look at that replay once again. It was just such a fast Baron from IG. Massive respect.
Yeah. And, you know, that's the power that having on-hit virus and Azir gives you, is that they could have got through that Baron and did so to get out. Jiejie able to run his way out to safety, and Gala, you know, sort of left a little bit to the wolves. You can see Rookie thinking about, do I need to defend him, do I not? But he catches one shot too many. Burns his flash to get out to safety, and you know, in the long run could have probably just left Gala to die and accepted that they'd have got out either way. But now that question of where do IG look to leverage this Baron, because they've got one tier 1 so far. If that wasn't just a Hail Mary to keep themselves in the game and they actually wanted to make something of this Baron, they've only really got a wave or so to do it. And looking at where those waves are positioned on the map, they're going to need to do it on this timer or not at all. And you can see with how deep mid's getting pushed, they don't really have the opportunity to do that. Feels like this Baron was just that stop the damage, stop the bleeding. But that, you know, again, when you were so even in gold in the first place, speaks to how far they actually truly felt behind.
Yeah, I mean, Baron buff is about to time out in the next 20 seconds, and they didn't even go positive, you know, let alone break even with this Baron buff like they were hoping to. And it's so difficult to try and do that when you make a Hail Mary play like that and then just try to bum rush the heck out of there before Top Esports can punish any stragglers, which obviously we saw in the replay that they did. And Top Esports still taking their time in just pulling apart IG as they continue setting up vision line once again for what should be their soul in the next 30 seconds. As the Solar Flare connects on the Jiejie, but no commit from Top Esports. That's the beauty of Solar Flare. You just throw it out and see what happens, and if it's not good look, then, you know, you don't go on it.
Yeah, but that's now a big ultimate that's still rank 1 and won't be available for this Drake fight. Really good Unbreakable as well from Meiko, so any skill shots that did come through would have been protected. As you can see, Jiejie sweeps out several deadly of those traps that we've seen JackeyLove be placing for the last couple of minutes. Soul now spawned, and once again, Top Esports. How good's your poke? Can you land those skill shots? Kanavi, 369, eyes on you to set up the HP to weaken IG so that you can find this dragon.
And honestly, Rude, it might not even come down to the poke, but just the traps, because with
I think it's coming down to the poke.
Well, okay, you know, it didn't fit my narrative in that moment, but, you know...
Well, that's because they were missing. That's because they were missing the traps.
The poke and the traps, all combined, they're going to do their work on the IG as they're slowly losing health on these bars. Jiejie looping around the bottom side, looking for an angle. Q-flash onto a couple members. 4,000 HP on the Dragon. The fight is stalled out. Public execution falls onto Creme. He's the target, but he flashes away. But TheShy has the mobility to be able to tag him down. The Creme falls, but Kanavi secures soul for the rest of Top Esports. Rookie is down. The rest of Top Esports, they can fend off for themselves without Creme, but TheShy, this is the highlight moment. This is the time to make up for IG being able to come back in this game, and Christmas still on the run. Kanavi throws out a spear, is able to get vision for now, and gives an escape path. He's going to take his chances, get TheShy. I don't know if that was wise enough, but he's got the heal, he's got the blast cone, he's going to hop, skip, jump away, and this Kanavi is just one slippery cat.
Yeah, and that's a win for Top Esports, even though the fight doesn't go great, even though they lose all 3 of their carries. They've got double TP for Creme and 369. They've now got Soul on all of their carries as well. And they should just be able to take fights at an advantage from here on in. Jiejie with a great flank starts off this fight with a double sleep. Unfortunately, doesn't quite catch Kanavi. This sets up for TheShy to find Creme, and find Creme does he, as the Hui gets absolutely minced. There's nothing for him to do there. But then JackeyLove autos a plant instead of Meiko because he dips into the bush. So he has to choose now with his final remaining bullet. Who am I actually going for? Decides the better target in taking out the Azir. But Baron spawns in about 30 seconds time here, Raafaa. And remember, Top Esports have just secured themselves a combat soul. So even though the gold is dead even, they've now got all the power that these dragons are giving them. That little bit of extra movement speed. 3 Chemtech Drakes as well stacked up.
And big note, there's no flashes on JackeyLove or Creme. So for IG, if there's any hope left in the upcoming fight over this objective, it's the fact that the two main carries for Top Esports are that much easier to lock down and try and find. I'm looking at Rookie, I'm looking at Jiejie and TheShy to be able to coordinate their ultimates and really punish the fact that Top Esports backline is down without their escape tools.
And Rookie has a real opportunity here to reconsolidate himself as one of those players as, you know, has had so much legacy in the LPL as being one of our top mid laners. He's got flash. He sees two immobile backliners who don't have flash. This is an opportunity for him to go big and keep IG from going down to match point, to going down to tournament point and getting themselves knocked out of this game.
Top Esports take their time in pushing out the mid wave before eventually moving their forces into the river. A teleport from 369, trying to cut off TheShy. He has no flash. He would have to look for a public execution angle, but he's got the mobility. Deadly Flourish does not connect. Rookie waiting for his moment, trying to see if JackeyLove steps too far forward. Creme, good enough for Top Esports, not right on top of JackeyLove, just to separate and make sure that they're not too close. A little bit of stutter on the frame as Meiko gets caught by the Deadly Flourish. There's a Spiraling Despair. This just could be the IG support going down for free. The rest of Top Esports now find themselves in a 5-on-4, and IG is seemingly a little more difficult to try and find this fight. Crisp, whoa, good flash by Gala, but now I don't even think Cleanse is quite up yet, so he has to be careful when he steps up again.
So Top are going to start this Baron, I think, in the face of Rookie and TheShy, both of which still have ulti, especially in a pit versus Azir. Rookie can go huge.
Deadly Flourish connects onto Rookie. He's in trouble. He pops the stasis, still has a flash if he needs to get alive. He tries to flash in. He was stunned momentarily. It's a three-man shuffle. It's going to be enough for Top Esports, but they have the GA for JackeyLove to survive, and Creme is still full HP. Chain of Corruptions, two-man tag with the lilting lullaby, but no
IG
one can
doing
follow
it
up because IG, they're pushing through, but just not enough strength and confidence to be able to push through the river to punish every single member of Top Esports. Only 369 fell. Kanavi! Looks for the takedown! The Nidalee combo! That's it, baby! Kanavi, one of the best Nidalee players in the world, finds his moment to snipe out Gala. And now Top Esports looking to run down another straggler in TheShy. Solar Flare connects. Deadly Flourish follows up. It's beautiful. Meiko tries to bail out his top laner once again. Spiraling Despair connects onto Meiko. TheShy still taking more damage, but Meiko has done his job and bails out TheShy.
Kanavi flashes onto Gala and they start to tear the house of IG down brick by brick, taking the fight onto TheShy afterwards, taking the fight to Meiko, has to summon a heal to get out to safety. But importantly, IG's job was to stop Top from getting the Baron, and they do exactly that. Meiko gets caught out and dies. That's a 5v4 that they should be looking to win. Kanavi, though, here, it cannot be understated. The power that this player brings to this champion. You said it yourself, Mark. Late game, Nidalee is an enchanter. When have you ever seen an enchanter flash and one-shot a level 16 Varus?
One beautiful thing about Nidalee as hold, Rookie still no flash. TheShy is going to block these curtain call bullets and make sure that Rookie isn't completely isolated. Even though Nidalee, definitely more of a support kit in the later stages of the game and more powerful on the heals, this is still a champion that if you find a spear, if you find a trap onto any squishy member and they are hunted, you deal so much damage. You are still an assassin as Nidalee if you can find the enhanced pounce and the empowered takedown. And now Top Esports find themselves in a position to start in the Baron as well. Jiejie tries to get vision with that swirling seed. Deadly Flourish connects onto Meiko. TheShy trying to force his way in, but the Baron has been stopped for now.
Crisp looking, he's driving forward for an engage. Zenith Blade goes wide, doesn't want to commit that Solar Flare. And this is where the power of IG's range finds itself.
Solar Flare. Does he have flash? He has the stasis to buy some time. Kanavi pounces back. Rookie looks for JackeyLove. Kanavi's caught, but he pounces over the wall to safety again. And Rookie, the shuffle, not quite ideal for IG to save this game. And he goes down. Lilting low from Jiejie is going to try to save the game. JackeyLove is still running away. He's totally fine. And TheShy is not. Gala gets hit by the fear of the cleanse. It's not enough. Kanavi and the Creme are going to carry this one through, but Jiejie's still alive and he's ramping up on Lilia. This is the late game fantasy that Lilia can achieve, and it's enough for Top Esports to feel threatened away from the river.
This is what a super team can do. IG, once again, have no right to win that fight. It goes so wrong to begin with. But this time, it's Jiejie, it's TheShy that step up in the back half to take down JackeyLove, take down 369, and make sure that this fight, this game, remains as even as it has been for 37 minutes.
Kanavi still deathless on this Nidalee, but man, this fight looked so damn close for both teams here, Rube. We gotta watch that again.
It looks doomed. IG shuffling rookie. JackeyLove flashes out, so the Azir is doing nothing during this team fight. We're seeing Creme get down so many passive procs, all of his damage is going relatively well, but Jiejie flashes in, forces cleanse out of JackeyLove here, stasis out of Creme, who gets immediately, soloed out, focused down after the back of this. But it's the swirl seeds coming through. It's that chip damage from Jiejie that finds enough and that makes sure that this fight, again, this game is still just as close as it has been.
God, what a banger. 38 minutes of just high octane, such tense action between both of these teams. Because you have to remember,
objectives as well.
This is tournament. This is potentially tournament point if IG lose this game. And Top Esports up 2-0 is not a state that you want to be as in IG. Whereas for Top Esports, netting this game puts them at such high confidence, high morale, to have the security of knowing it's just one more game after this win. And Chris, looking for that solar flare, does not connect onto rookie. IG starting up the Elder Dragon. The rest of Top Esports have to find their way into the river now, but members of IG starting to get split up, and the Elder is nowhere near close to getting burned down. The curtain call is starting to scatter IG across.
Oh my god, Gala!
A lot of damage on the Gala. That fourth bullet clipped him, and he's now down below 75% HP. Top Esports now have a free way in. They're committing towards the front. 369 marking TheShy on the back. Rookie got three-man shuffle once again. Jiejie connects with the combo. JackeyLove cleans up Gala before he goes down, but Creme is completely isolated and found out. Kanavi, it's up to you and 369 to carry out this fight. He goes back in. The pounce looking for the takedown once again. Jiejie still trying to kite this one out. Good stun by Meiko, trying to buy as much time for Jiejie, but 369 sends it to the skies with a hammer, and Jiejie has to give ground. Kanavi and 369 triumphant in the river fight.
Another fight and another banger between these two teams. Only one kill to separate them. Kanavi starting up the Elder here. Jiejie hasn't got flash, but he's going to get enough HP. Jungle privilege is a beautiful thing. 2 versus 1 now. Jiejie, released from EDG jail, looking to make himself a name on this IG roster. And 11k on the Elder. TP is going to be up for Rookie and TheShy in 20 seconds, but that's not enough time.
And while Jiejie's trying to put on the game of his life, Kanavi has other things to say. Deathless on his signature Nidalee. Jiejie has one chance. The blast code, he goes in. No way! Jiejie steals it and saves time for IG. And the
Elder kills him.
The Lilia passive will burn down Kanavi at 369. Are you kidding me?
And now they get the Baron as well, Raafaa. The steal into taking down the jungle, into taking down the top laner, into taking the Baron, and this game is right back in their hands.
I'm at a loss for words. Top Esports knew that there was a control ward in the Dragon Pit, but they felt confident that Kanavi would get the smite secure, but Jiejie proves him wrong. And suddenly, Rude, for all the disadvantages that IG had throughout the entire game, they're suddenly, for the first time up, as now Shuffle's gonna find Chris. Solar Flare tries to lock down Rookie. Creme sinks it up with the curtain call and the Spiraling Despair, but it's still not enough damage to threaten Rookie quite yet. Jiejie's in, looks for it, goes a little crazy, trying to maybe he goes a little too far, and IG have been off more than they could chew. Maybe they got a little too crazy in their heads, thinking that they had the world at their fingertips, but now it's slipping through. Top Esports, they don't have to worry about a Baron expiring anytime soon, since it's already been taken away in 2.5 minutes on this buff. But man, oh man, this is awesome. I love this, Rude.
Okay, I don't want to tell people to calm down because this is crazy and it deserves the hype that it's getting, but the death onto Jiejie there costs IG big. They had an opportunity with Baron, with Elder, to end this game, but with that death, it stalls them for a minute. That means that the Elder probably not going to get any effect at all off the back of this, and it relies now on what IG can do with just this Baron. TheShy spotting out Kanavi, but in a massive sequence of plays, after all of it, we're fighting again. They still are looking to skirmish.
Are they willing to throw the game all on the line for a red buff? No, not quite yet. IG, it looked a little dicey as Top Esports were ready to throw down the gauntlet once again with the solar flare, but it did not hit anyone. We have to look at this again.
Let's go all the way back to when Jiejie slithers his way in. Q plus smite secures it. Perfect timing, perfect damage, and the stasis as well. Kanavi can do nothing as he just watches himself bleed out, tick down to the Elder. And again, we return now to a game state where IG begin to be favoured now, where they are that little bit further ahead, where Jiejie finds himself now 3,000 gold over his counterpart. But other than that, we're largely even across the board. JackeyLove with a small advantage. He's almost 6 items. Creme as well. Nearly there. If a couple of kills had gone his way and he didn't have 14 assists, maybe he'd have been in a pretty good spot. But IG with this Baron, they've only got 45 seconds left. Their objective should be to break open the base, but I'm looking at it, Raafaa, and it doesn't look too likely. We're 43 minutes in. We've already had an Elder and a Baron. I think we're due for another one of each.
Oh, man, don't tell me that, Rude. It just means that both of these teams are going to go for another round. Oh, hang on. TheShy might be the target here. A lot of CC, and he's still very tanky to be able to live through it all. But the bleed of the Death Stance almost taking him down, but not quite enough as he's able to survive and sustain through the use of those shields. Steric's Gauge also providing him with enough durability to survive what could have been a big pick for Top Esports.
And again, it's a now neutral game. All of those advantages that IG found and all of those situations that Top had put themselves in, not really important anymore. We return to who can get prio over mid lane, who can set up for these objectives in an appropriate fashion. JackeyLove hitting that full build. We look to summoner spells. Everybody on Top Esports pretty much ready to go with those, just missing Crisp's flash as another means of engage. Jiejie looking to get his flash back up. TheShy won't have that Ambessa flash for any fights that happen around those objectives unless we're able to stall for 4 or 5 minutes, even when they are live. Mid lane prio goes the way of Top, and in a series of 2 teams that are looking to not get knocked out of the LPL, this is exactly the type of fight I'm looking to see them put up.
Yes, everyone on both teams giving all they got because they know what the stakes and the repercussions could be to drop a game at this point. For IG, dropping a game means that they are putting their backs against the wall, match point, tournament point on the line going forward. Top Esports, they drop this game, and suddenly the morale, the momentum shift that they could have had is now lost, and it's back to even state. And it would be a mountain for Top Esports to climb, especially having such a advantageous and strong early game that they slowly built up. It would be so crushing just to lose it now.
And I love the little toggle there from the observers. What routes is JackeyLove running? Is he running Gathering Storm? Quick little hit marker. Oh, yes, he is. 791 AD on this Jhin at the minute. That is an abnormal amount of AD to be able to find in a game. And if we tick over to 50 minutes mark, which I mean, I don't know that we'll get there, but that's going to go up once again. Block on the one of the shots there with the Unbreakable. You can see Guardian getting some decent value, but Quay is just going to give you prio in this fight. In this lane as well. Sets up the wave control so much earlier than any other champion can.
Meiko and Rookie fighting for posture on this top Riverbrush. Top Esports still maintaining control. And first entrance into the Elder Dragon. Good shielding from Creme to keep JackeyLove safe. As he is
remembering as well, when Kanavi shields or heals JackeyLove, he gets more AD from the attack speed that it gives him.
Not typically the combo that you... Yeah, not the combo you normally think of when you think of Nidalee attack speed buff over to an 80 carry, but it works for Jhin. It's now Top Esports.
Hold on.
Ending their formation towards the bottom river. Oh, Kanavi might be caught here. Forced to flash away. The lilting low by already used. Crisp is in the middle of all of them. Spiraling Despair on TheShy as he blinks over with the Colic Execution. Rookie's taken out by JackeyLove. That's the damage. That's the Gathering Storm. But Jiejie has other on his mind as he's able to carry it through. Q flash into multiple members, but is it going to be enough? It's all on TheShy. He has to carry it through. Can he do the damage? JackeyLove is pumping though, and TheShy still has to deal with the Jiejie and the spawn. Kanavi, can he keep his AD carry alive? JackeyLove's got so much HP. Good flash by the AD carry of Top Esports, and that's
They've done it!
Top Esports prevail through the most gruesome fight we have seen in the LPL yet of the first split of the season. But damn, be JackeyLove Jin, because no one doesn't like him.
He won them game 2 in their best of 3 in the Demacia Cup, and he wins them game 2 in their best of 5 that could very well knock out IG from the LPL. JackeyLove and Jin are pairing a match made in heaven.
The observers are noting that the minion wave is coming in, but death timers are not short enough that I think it's going to matter. Top Esports will bring this series to match point. 2-0 against IG.
And JackeyLove again with a standout performance this time. He soloed Rookie in the back half of that fight. Rapid fire cannon into calling the curtain on Rookie and sending him back to the grey screen. Several massive bullets that just destroyed IG. And Top Esports coming up in the clutch. They put themselves to 2-0. And it's another game where IG fought and they battled and they did everything that they could. And Jiejie in particular, I think, this time round, you know, game number 1, we were highlighting Gala for his miracle performance. Game 2, Jiejie still deserves MVP, even though they lost.
I mean, game 1, he stole a Baron. Game 2, he steals an Elder Dragon. And it's just so heartbreaking that it's still not enough to bring IG back from the brink. I mean, Jiejie is literally doing his damnedest. Now, it doesn't necessarily excuse a couple moments where he got a little too overextended, but man, Rude, when I look back at that game overall, that was the closest and definitely the best fighting that IG have put up yet against Top Esports, not just in this series, but overall over in the Demacia Cup when they first faced off against each other. And I have to say, Rude, there's 2 words, and I want you to get your hands together, put them up like this. Absolute cinema.
Absolute cinema. I mean, Jiejie's play around the Elder Drake, it deserves it, right? It was such a clutch play, but the, again, talent of Top Esports ends up ringing true. And we were questioning, okay, what's Crisp going to look like on these Leona engages? This was a composition that was built around Crisp being the engage. Our criticisms of Crisp and of Top Esports had been around when Crisp was looking for those engages. And by and large, Raafaa, I think, a marked improvement on Crisp's work in this series and in that game in particular, right? That was a lot of Leona ultis. Yeah, maybe sometimes you're fishing and you're not quite landing, but occasionally he was burning Cleanse, burning Stasis, burning just enough of a tool to give Top that fight. And there was that one shaky engage, right? Second set of grubs. IG come out on top. Crisp throws his life away by Zenith blading forward. Then on in, he learned his lesson. There was some very adaptive practice there where he was like, I will stop and I will no longer throw my life away if my team can't follow. And that instant recognition is ultimately a tool that led them to take this game.
Yeah, and I just have to give massive props to not just Crisp, but also Kanavi being able to be in such greater sync this game alone than, you know, compared to a lot of the games that we saw over the course of the group stage and even Demacia Cup as well. I mean, this is a roster we talked about before that they are coming together for the first time, not having played together previously in other teams, since Kanavi was a franchise JDG player for so long, over 5 years. This is his first time that he's not played for JDG. I mean, there's going to be growing pains whenever you come to a new roster like that. And obviously, a lot of those growing pains showed quite disturbingly in the group stage. I mean, the Olaf game in particular was one that, frankly, hopefully gets erased from history's existence for Kanavi's sake. But he showed up big time on this Nidalee, man. For me, there's 3 Nidalee players in the entire world that I always am overjoyed to see being pulled out. And it's Canyon, Shun, and Kanavi. And when any of those 3 pull out a Nidalee, I'm expecting big plays. I'm expecting the absolute world masterclass of this Cougar. And I mean, boy, oh boy, did he deliver. I mean, the one Elder Steal, I'm going to take a point away. But other than that, Kanavi pretty much had a flawless game on the Nidalee.
I mean, Kanavi, you can see, does the most damage in this game. Like, and by far as well, it's worth mentioning, right? Like, he is, playing a poke champion, and the expectation is that poke champs deal the most damage in a game, but so infrequently does that actually happen, and so infrequently is it Nidalees as well that actually get to do that most damage. Kanavi, I'm right there with you, pulled out a very, very solid Nidalee performance, and, flashing onto Gala, right, taking him out of the game. I think that we're going to struggle to try and find who they want as the MVP. For me, it is JackeyLove that just performed in the clutch when he needed to, but like, there are so many arguments for so many different people, and in a 50-odd minute game, you can find so many different times and so many different ways in which somebody performed well. I think Creme, whilst he didn't get any highlight moments, was consistent and very consistent in this game for Top Esports. So, there's so many different ways to look at this as to who was the reason that Top came out on top, and ultimately, it comes down to an understanding that actually everybody did their job and did it really well.
Yeah, the thing that makes me happy the most for a Top Esports perspective is that this is a very similar composition that they ran against LGD in their group stage, where Kanavi was on the Nidalee, Creme was on the Hui. I don't remember exactly what the other pieces were for Top Esports off the top of my head, but I know that in a similar manner, Creme was, even though not high on the kills, he was creating so much space and making it so difficult for the opposition to get in, because QEs and QWs being able to snipe people away or just create these terrains of battlefield where it's just really hard to cross over, and the spiraling despairs and the fears that he's throwing out, it opens up so many windows. But frankly, in the LGD series, Kanavi looked nowhere near as good on the Nidalee as he did here, and this was kind of the resurrection of the Nidalee performance, the Kanavi carry that we've come to know over his career with Jiejie, and really the expectations we wanted to see from this guy. This is a good sign for Top Esports fans in particular, because now you can say, hey, they struggled against LGD, which was a team that should be fairly lower in the terms of power rankings, and they are performing against IG, who, even though they're struggling as well, this game was probably the best that they've played so far this split, and it was no pushover performance, and still Top Esports triumphed.
Yeah, this was both teams, I think, performing largely at capacity. I think Rookie unfortunately had a really shaky game and really got exposed in this back half as one of the weaker parts of this IG roster this game round. And for the most part, I would argue that probably all 9 other players were doing their job for the most part and getting as much out of their champion, as much out of their kit as they could do. And if that's what it ends up falling down to, just one of the players not quite having that same standout as we were maybe hoping for, then that's how it ends up falling. But again, to look at Creme and to say this is a player that is now surrounded by literally 9 other players that have all got international success and domestic success as well. Creme, yes, he's been to an international, but he's not won one yet. This is a player who definitely doesn't match that pedigree, but is putting up better numbers than Rookie, doing more in these games.
Yeah, these are the confidence games that you want in your opening split with a new, kind of a new assemble of the team. Second year with the organization of Top Esports. Creme just wants to continue racking up these big games as much as possible, even if he's not the star, because in this game, it was Kanavi's Nidalee.
Yeah, gets player of the game. Again, I think there's an argument for JackeyLove taking it, in fairness, and obviously Kanavi losing out on that Elder was a pretty big turning point almost in this game. But that doesn't take away from, and I don't think has, by giving the way he gets the player of the game, from what was otherwise a incredible performance for 47 of the 48 minutes it played.
I mean, pretty much that is the kind of Nidalee gameplay all Nidalee solo queue mains aspire to have on a consistent basis, so that they can just hard smurf through the ladder. But for us, that's going to do it, at least for game numero dos. Game 3 will be coming up soon after this break, and it is match point for Top Esports. Win this game, they send IG home, and they continue through the lower bracket. Let's find out